correlated with weight gain. That when you are chronically sleep deprived, not just like not getting enough sleep, like last night, I think I got 3 hours sleep, increased ghrelin and decreased leptin. Another, only one of many, many reasons to put sleep high on your priority. And our fast-paced world today, sleep seems to be what we keep carving away from our day to make more time to do all the other things we want to do. But that's not only good for your alertness and your brain, it actually is correlated, chronic sleep deprivation is correlated with many diseases and possibly obesity. So anyway, think about that next time. Think about staying up another hour or two chatting online instead of sleeping. Okay, now, we could go on, I could go on and on about talking about the influence of genetics. Genetic predisposition. We're not necessarily born with genes that say, you're going to be fat and you're going to be thin. But we're born with genes that say, you're more likely to gain weight. You're less likely to gain weight. However, our genes have not changed in the last 30 years, and I know I didn't show this maps that make you ooh and ah and see how much we have gained weight, so you're going to have to take my word for it. Our genes haven't changed, and yet our rates of obesity have skyrocketed in adults and children. Genetic predisposition needs a certain environment, a certain lifestyle to support obesity. If you have a genetic predisposition, you will not be fat regardless of how you live your life. You still have to be in positive energy balance. You still have to be tending to overeat and undermove. There's a term, a rather new term, epigenetics, that is the influence of environmental factors on gene expression. I've mentioned this before. We know that we're born with our genes that's set at birth, but not all genes are active. And they can be awakened or put to sleep, if you will, depending on how we live our lives, depending on our experiences, depending on our diet, depending on our exercise, depending on our exposure to various substances. Things can wake up those genes or keep them asleep. And that's why you can have identical twins develop very different health profiles as they get further along in life. Now, we see this incredibly in the Pima Indians. Have any of you ever heard of the Pima Indians? Nobody? You're supposed to read the book before a lecture, and this is what the third lecture that we spent on this topic. I think the Pima Indians are mentioned, but I do believe it's a very small, almost a footnote, so I'm not going to get on your case if you don't remember reading it. The Pima Indians live in Arizona and New Mexico, and they have an astronomical high rate of obesity and type 2 diabetes. Much higher than the people who live in their communities who are not Pima Indians. So you've got an ethnic group within a bigger community, and this ethnic group has through the roof high rates of obesity and type 2 diabetes, more so than their neighbors and co-workers and chums in the same community. So that screams genetics must be part of what's going on here. Well, the Pima Indians originated either South America or Central America, I can't remember. And as one group, the Pima Indians migrated north from wherever that was in South America or Central America. And one group of the Pima Indians stopped in the mountains of Mexico and thought, this looks like a great place to live. We're going to settle here. And they did. And the other Pima Indians amongst their midst looked around and said, no, this isn't quite our cup of tea. We're going to keep forging north. See you later, cousins. And they continued on and ended up in New Mexico and Arizona. So the Pima Indians in America and the Pima Indians in Mexico have the same gene pool. They have the same genes. The Pima Indians in America, obese, type 2 diabetes. The Pima Indians in Mexico, Mexico, no obesity, no type 2 diabetes. Same genes, different lifestyle. People in America eat traditional American fast food diets, cars, video games, computers, fast food. Pima Indians in Mexico farm in the mountains. Traditional diet eaten by the Pima Indians for thousands of years. Hard labor, no TVs, no computers, no fast food. Same genes, vastly different lifestyle. The Pima Indians in Mexico have genetic predisposition for obesity, but they don't have a lifestyle that supports it. So, much as sometimes we like to blame our genes for our issues, you can only blame your genes so much. So I think this is good news. It's not good news to think that you're doomed, that there's nothing you can do, but rather, okay, it's a little bit more challenging for me given my genes, but I have choices that can override the genes. And that seems to be what's happening. I mean, that's